Hi everybody, welcome to February Supper Club. Hope you're having a good season. This is probably, the fourth or fifth time together? I haven't counted, but something like that. We're glad you're continuing on the journey with us through the book, 12 Steps to a Compassionate Life with Karen Armstrong. And this month we thought we would look at the chapter called How Little We Know. And this is a chapter that, at least by the title, looks deceptively simple. It makes it sound like, sure, there's lots to know, and we better get busy, and there's lots to research in the world and collect and absorb more knowledge.
It's a true intellectual posture of course, there's so much in the world that I could learn. There's lots I don't know. But the sort of shift that happens in this chapter, what she pulls us to, is to say it's not really just about an intellectual commitment to gaining and gathering more information. It's really about a shift to knowing how little we know. That we actually recognize that we don't have all the answers. We don't approach the world in the same way, us, even sometimes within our own families, let alone neighbors in the world or beyond, all of that it really is deceptively simple to say, of course, it's so little we know. It's
really a whole different posture of how you are in the world, isn't it?
It's not that simple.
Deep kind of humility underlying all this. So.
And the truth is that most of us spend much of our time defending our own borders. And I mean that in a psychological way, certainly on political landscape of the country. We spend a lot of time defending what we believe to be true and right. It's about what we believe and believe in our deepest hearts. It's about what we know and our rightness about the world and how the world works and how the world should work. Certainly in the political discussions that are happening right now, and as we move into this year, we're going to see just so much of this. It's a lot about, we spend a lot of our time defending what we know and what we think is right.
And it's such a visceral kind of reaction that happens to you, isn't it? I mean, you're just sitting there innocently enough, and one thing someone says, or on the radio, all of a sudden the talk of politics, especially for me at least, I'm listening to NPR on the way home, and I'm just livid in 2 seconds. And this is a real invitation to shift some of that and to really start watching the ways we are attached to those defensive postures, and I'm ready to fight.
And one of the things, we all defend in different ways. Sometimes people get aggressive, and so the minute they feel pushed or criticized or discounted, you'll get an aggressive sort of reaction of right back, like they've been just waiting on the debate team, to do that. Some people react in sort of withdrawal, but also still annoyed or even aggressive about it. So sometimes we call that passive.
They're still defending their borders.
Right. They're just doing it in a withdrawing sort of way. Some people do it by being fearful, that if they feel pushed, they'll, it looks like withdrawal, but what's really going on is that they might be afraid of it sounds odd, but sometimes we're afraid of what someone might be able to teach us, because it's going to crack and change and push the borders of the way we think things are.
But then this invitation, she uses, I know in the very first part of the chapter, a story from, I think she had read something from a professor saying, when you look at the history of religion, you've got to make place for the other. You've got to create some space in your own way of thinking to know that they had a different worldview, and they lived in a different time, and they had a different setting. And if you can't put yourself in that, then you're not going to understand their religion. And she took that wisdom and is now suggesting for your whole life to think about this from a perspective where I don't know everything, and what a freedom that really is at the end of the day, to just rest in that kind of curious, open, receptive kind of place, so that you can really hear when someone, even if someone criticizes you. I love this line from Richard Rohr. He says, if you want to really see how far along you are in your own spiritual journey, watch how you react when someone criticizes you.
Yeah.
Because that's that defensive posture. You've got it right. And if someone critiques you, so if someone says something to me here at the church of, I really think you could have done a better job there. Well, think of the difference between approaching that, ready to fight, or Yeah, well, you might be right, or I might continue a certain way. I may not think it's the right way, but I'm open to it.
And the context for compassion is that what she would argue is that knowing this in a deeper way than an intellectual, there's things I could learn, but really knowing that you don't have the full picture, that puts you in a place where you can practice compassion to another person in a much more profound, in a much deeper way.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We saw a parallel since we had just started this new program, Lectio Divina, here at the church just this past Sunday. We got talking about the parallel between that way of reading Scripture and this whole idea of how little we know. It's easy to approach a text as, oh, I don't know enough about this, I'm going to research this piece, I'm going to do the,
I want to do a Bible study so that I can really understand what Jesus meant and what the author meant and what time of history it was written in and all of those things. We want to know all of that as opposed to...
Yeah, there's a control feel there, as opposed to Lectio Divina, where it really is this, what can I receive from this text? Could God use this as a window to say a new word to me? It's a very receptive, open stance that parallels her suggestion for how we might approach lots of life. So it was an interesting insight for me into the way this Lectio practice for this year might invite us to a way of being in the world. There's a parallel that's really nice. Yeah.
So, questions. Do you agree with this? Do you think we're crazy? Do you think what are they talking about? Basically, do you agree that most of us spend a lot of time defending our borders and are not able to really understand how little truly we know about the world and the deeper mysteries of the world? Do you agree with that? That's one question.
Another one then, if you do identify in yourself, okay, yeah, I do defend myself and my borders. How do you typically do it? This might be a nice chance to just get to know each other a little more, be a little,
self-disclosing
about how you are in the world. Do you tend to say, bring on the debate, I love it? Yeah. Or are you the type that's just going to quietly, move away, whatever reaction it might be?
Yeah, because it doesn't look the same for every person. What is that? And then if you are practicing or beginning to try to do this Lectio Divina, how is that, maybe if you've started that, talk a little bit or share a little bit with each other about, is that different? Does it feel different? And if so, how?
Yeah, reading that text, maybe this text that you've known for years, that you've heard for years, and I had approached them with a certain way of, I'd like to understand that better, the context it's in. Lectio is that invitation to do it differently. How has that been different for you? And I am aware that we have lots of folks who maybe certainly weren't here last Sunday and may not be as connected with the community here, so maybe fill them in on this new program. Maybe they'll want to sign up for the email, get the Lectio text.
There you go. There you go. Hope you have a wonderful time together, and it's great to be with you, as always.
Thanks. Bye-bye.